bumpy, tumbling, and riders trying to book a place into Q2 coming up shortly. And it was our Brno race winner from last year, the rookie sensation Brad Binder, who was fastest this morning as well on the factory KTM. But this has all the makings, Matt, based on how close FP1 was, of being a pretty good session.
Yes, indeed, Steve. 19 riders in FP1 this morning, the opening 45-minute session of the Spanish Grand Prix. Well, they were split by just over a second, down from Brad Binder to Enea Bastianini, the rookie sensation. Brad Binder then, for only the second time in MotoGP, tops a free practice session. He did it in Misano last September. He led the way from Aleix Espargaro, again impressing on the improved factory Aprilia. What a return to Jerez for Marc Marquez there in third place. Just behind him were Pecco Bagnaia and Fabio Quartararo, the top two men in the World Championship. Johan Zarco, Miguel Oliveira, Pol Espargaro, Maverick Vinales after his problems in Portimao, and reigning world champion Joan Mir. They were your top 10. Just missing out on that top 10 this morning were Nakagami, Morbidelli. Good job by Lorenzo Savadori there, 13th on the second of the factory Aprilias. Enea Bastianini, well, there he is down in 19th place, but just a second behind Binder. Valentino Rossi was 20th. He was just a couple of tenths further back. And Tito Rabat, of course, we welcome him back to MotoGP, replacing the absent and injured Jorge Martin down at Pramac Ducati.
Just saw in Moto3 a moment ago. The time's coming down. We're expecting the same here as well. There have been some front tyre woes for KTM at the start of this year, but all the signs were pointing towards them not having quite so much trouble here in Jerez. And, well, so was true in FP1. Both Miguel Oliveira and Brad Binder looking very, very strong. We mentioned in FP1 this morning, Matt, that we thought Brad Binder would be a threat. He's already showing signs of that. I suppose the really important thing here, you know he's going to have the pace on Sunday, but they really have got to sort out the qualifying. Yeah, qualifying has been a bit of a bugbear, hasn't it, so far this year for the KTM. I mean, with their front tyre problems, whenever they fit that soft tyre, it does tend with the extra grip to push that front tyre even more. That's where they've had their issues so far this weekend. Turn 1, well, that was a problem for Brad Binder in race 2 here in Jerez last year. Of course, it was at the start where he wiped out Miguel Oliveira. No problems for him, though, this morning. Let's not forget, in both Grand Prix here in Spain last July, this young man had podium pace in both. It's just that those couple of mistakes really did prove really different. Not more so than in Jerez, won the opening round of the MotoGP World Championship last year. I mean, that fight back from last to 13th, when he really did have top 3 pace, showed that he's going to be a danger man this weekend. And he loves Jerez, of course. 2015, he was 3rd in Moto3, and who could forget that memorable charge through the pack, 35th to 1st, a year later in 2016.
Eurasian Jacksaw, has he taken...
I was going to say, hang on a minute.
That's not working out too well, guys. You're filming the... our own equipment basically being stolen here by the local wildlife. Here is the garage then being opened at Marc Marquez. Sol Honda. Great showing from him this morning on his return to the circuit, of course, where it all went wrong last year, Matt. Straight up into the top 3.
Yeah, just what he would have wanted, Steve. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, psychologically, it would have been at the back of his mind this morning, the first time he did dive through that 3rd corner, of course, where he suffered that horrendous right humerus fracture in the opening Grand Prix last year, and it was brilliant performance again by Marquez. He got down to a 38.291. Did quite a lot of laps as well this morning to test that upper body. It was not a mental problem last time out that was holding him back in Portimao. It was physical, of course. You'd expect it, having been out of the saddle for 9 long months, but he was only a couple of tenths behind Brad Binder this morning and looking in fantastic shape. Of course, the issue will be how much will that body hold up here on Sunday. Long race. He struggled. He knew he was going to struggle in Portimao, having had so much time out of the seat, but he still was able to finish top Honda in 7th place.
Yeah, it answered all the questions that everyone had been asking for months in Portugal. Where will Marc Marquez be in terms of his fitness, in terms of his competitiveness? He's only going to get stronger. You just feel like it's a matter of time before you see Marc Marquez back to full speed again.
And if you said to him pre-Portimao, Steve, you're going to be 7th and you're going to be 13 seconds away from the race winner, he would have taken that. That was a real big confidence boost. There have been times where he thought it was impossible to make a return and be that close to the race winner at the checkered flag. Talking of race winners and potential race winners here in Jerez. Well, does this man fall into that category, Aleix Espargaro? Well, if you base your judgment on what we've seen so far in 2021 and FP1 this morning, you have to say yes. The Aprilia looking really strong yet again here in Jerez. 3 successive top 10s for Aleix Espargaro. No mistakes in any of those Grand Prix, and looking really, really good on this vastly improved RSGP. Rebuilt really from the ground up, wasn't it, that motorcycle? A radical overhaul. And then the Wiley engineers have done a fantastic job. Aleix Espargaro, before Binder's late heroics, did lead FP1 for quite some period.
Lots of people asking what sort of lap times was Dovi setting here on the Aprilia in Jerez. They have been kept under wraps throughout. We're not really sure on that. One thing is for sure though, in the first 3 GPs and here in Jerez as well, that bike looks like it's on rails. It does not look like it's out of shape as much as it used to. It really is a much RSGP.
Yeah, you can see how much margin Aleix Espargaro currently has. You know, he could be a prolific crasher at times, but he's managing to stay on board that factory Aprilia. Here's your World Championship leader then, the man of the moment in 2021 MotoGP. Back-to-back wins for the 2nd time in his Grand Prix career for this man, Fabio Quartararo. Of course, the first time he did that was right here in Andalusia, in the Spanish and Andalusian Grand Prix last July. What a place for Fabio Quartararo to come into then as the World Championship leader, brimming with confidence after great fight back to the win in Qatar 2. A great charge as well. He was dropped down to 6th place early on in Portimao, didn't panic, got into his groove, knew he had the pace from FP3 and an FP4. Survived relentless pressure coming as well from Alex Rins. Great job by Fabio Quartararo. He was 5th quickest this morning with a 38.344.
Here is Pecco Bagnaia, who was 4th quickest. A late showing from him, good rhythm in the early stages of FP1 this morning. Perhaps looked a bit upset with a couple of the settings, but in full trim at the moment. 2021, Pecco Bagnaia is looking like a force. We're expecting to see him fighting for podiums here tomorrow. Just looks like at the moment in the factory Ducati team, all is certainly well on one side.
Yeah, everything going very, very swimmingly for this young man, Pecco Bagnaia. He could have had a couple of pole positions already in the first 2 races. He did it on the opening weekend in Qatar. He could have already had 3 podium finishes, couldn't he, as well, bar that late mistake in Qatar 2 when he was looking really, really good. And of course that fantastic fight back through the pack last time in Portimao, 11th to 2nd place, and he looks like he's going to emerge as Ducati's main threat for a title contender this year. Pre-season that looked very much like that challenge is going to be on the shoulders of Jack Miller.
Maverick Vinales about to head out on circuit. Interesting afternoon for number 12. He looks not quite himself at the moment, as we already know. He's taken a break from social media. It was a disappointing weekend in Portugal. It was mystifying